Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Site Clinic podcast. I'm extremely excited to have a guest that is extremely knowledgeable when it comes to YouTube and video and just putting on how to monetize YouTube programs. And today we're going to look at a few YouTube programs. But my guest today is Jeremy Vest. And Jeremy, why don't you introduce yourself to the Site Clinic podcast audience?
Hey, guys. First, I want to say that there is someone in my life that helped teach me SEO in 2005 or 2006, and that is Tony Wright. So I really started getting into and was a professional in SEO for quite a few years. Before about 2008, 2009, I started doing full-time YouTube full-time. So I've been doing full YouTube strategy for 17 years now. My students have over 50 billion organic views on YouTube, and I've had the privilege of being able to, fly around the world and teach YouTube to tons of creators and brands. It's a pretty cool job.
Does sound like, of course, you and I have been friends for years and years and years. So I've obviously followed your career with a lot of interest in what you've been able to do with just YouTube and helping people getting their channels optimized is nothing short of amazing. So congratulations on that. But Jeremy, I think I've talked to you about how we do this, but just if this is your first time watching the Site Clinic podcast, what we do here is we will take 3 sites. We're going to spend approximately 10 minutes on each site. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending upon what the site gives us. We typically look at the sites from a user experience standpoint, as well as I will get into some of the SEO, and Jeremy will be talking about maybe the offerings that they have on their YouTube channels and what they're doing, and maybe something they could do a little bit better, if you will. And we'll talk about those sites for about 10 minutes. There's 3 of them, and then after that, the goal is we want everybody who's watching the site to understand that the problems that the sites we're talking about, they may have some unique problems, but most people have the same types of issues. So watching through this, you're going to learn something that is going to give you an insight on how you can fix your own site. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share my screen here. And this first site that we're looking at, tell me when you can see it, Jeremy. Get rid of
Yep,
that
I can see it.
Is jadenanimations.com. I will tell you, and you informed me, and I did not know this. You told me before we started recording. This site is actually a very popular YouTuber, or it's very popular, and I hadn't really heard of it. But tell me, I'll tell you from my first impressions. There's not a lot to the site, especially from an SEO standpoint. I'd come here, I don't know. You almost have to know who this person is or what you're looking at when you first get here, because it's not explaining it to you. It's some sort of
it's
stuffed
interesting
animal.
when you have 14 million subscribers on YouTube and almost 3 billion views. It is, as much as this hurts me to say from an SEO perspective, they're probably doing very well, from
imagine.
a sales perspective, because organic traffic is booming. And although you can just see the big images and everything, you could see it's probably not very well SEO optimized. No. I'm guessing they do more commerce than most sites.
Well, I think that there's something to be said, for the YouTuber, or even, we're talking TikTok economy right now, which is just a fascinating thing to me. That, people... you don't have to run ads on TikTok to be very successful there. You really don't. You can pay other people to create user-generated content. There's people that do nothing but create user-generated content to sell items on TikTok. That's their entire job. And they do very well. And I think that this type of thing, if you have the followers and you have a product that you're trying to sell, or as they say, merch, I mean, something like this works. I'm sure that she's getting this stuff made somewhere. Somebody's making this for her. She's selling it cheap, or she gets it made cheap and sells it and makes pretty good money. But, she got jackets and plushies and everything else. And I'm sure this is meant to support whatever the YouTube channel that she has going on.
My biggest critique so far is not about SEO. It's about not having either a pop-up or a below-the-scroll email notification. Because when you have that many people coming to your site, I think it's a big opportunity missed. I'm sure she's doing remarketing and running ads to this merch after they go to the website.
Yeah, and they do. And she had something that I had actually closed it before I came up with this.
Oh, okay.
So it does have kind of a little pop-up.
It just doesn't have value. Like there's no reason to click on it.
It says stay up to date. What am I, I would like to see it, whatever, if I'm going to sign up for something, if I'm going to give you my email address or anybody, I want something in return. I want a percentage off. I want to know that I'm going to be, I want to know that I'm going to be getting information, et cetera. And that there's no promise here on this pop-up. So I definitely would change that.
I agree. And I would imagine that her conversions, on-page conversions, if she literally just did a 10% off your first order, would probably be, 20, 30, 40% higher.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm, just clicking through to a product page, a very, very basic product page. The thing is with AI, this is really a weak product description. She could really beef up these product descriptions just from, and I know I'm just an old SEO, but if you don't have words, you will not show up for the words. So, having something in there a little bit more, it's a very, very basic. I mean, even in the details, it's like embroidered Ari face and details plush beak. It's so basic, and it's not like they have 1,000 products here. They got like 7 products. Spend a little bit of time to at least make this this description page or this product page work a little bit better.
Even if all they did was put their channel name in the descriptions, you know.
Well, that's true. They don't have. This is supposed to be promoting YouTube channel, and I don't see anything in here about. We can go to the about message from Jaden. I got 10 years since she started Jaden Animations when she was 16. You know who she is. I have no idea. Now, she's assuming that everyone does, which a lot of YouTubers do that. I feel like that, especially the ones that are bigger, are like Mr. Beast isn't walking around introducing himself as Mr. Beast, Right.
And I will say, though, that in her universe, everyone knows who she is. And if you come to this page, especially because there's pretty much zero SEO, maybe there's 20% SEO.
No, the thing is,
you're probably coming from her link, so her assumption might be pretty correct.
Maybe, and I think that there's a case to be made for it. I just feel like it's maybe a little bit. From my standpoint, I don't think I could ever do it because I would feel like I'm being so arrogant by just assuming you know who I am when you get on my website, and assuming that especially you got to think. Okay, she's selling on this website. She's selling plushies and jackets and stuff that my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter, probably knows this girl and probably loves it. Right?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it, but my 12-year-old daughter does. Well, guess who buys my 12-year-old daughter's birthday gifts?
Oh, exactly. You're right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that they have a lot of opportunity in conversion science. I think they have a lot of opportunity in even getting their, at least a few paragraphs of descriptions and their information on their products. Adding their YouTube channel name to every product is probably a good idea. I know that Ari, I believe, is a character from her animations, but I might even put something like Ari Jaden Animation or something in the title itself of the product.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I think that just having, go back to the page real quick. I was good, but I think that there's a huge missed opportunity by not having, you can still put your product front and center. You're an animator. It shouldn't be that hard to make a website that actually has a page that has a little bit more than this about. And even this about feels like a a letter to your friends, as opposed to,
From my recollection, if I remember correctly, the Beast store, Mr. Beast store, I think was about this bad a few years ago. The first time I looked at it, I could be wrong now, but I think it's definitely a theme. Also, a lot of channels. So a lot of your viewers may not know this, but YouTube actually works natively now with Shopify. So you can be on a YouTube video and click to purchase in the description of the video. And a lot of these YouTubers are actually just basically setting up Shopify stores just to sell in video. And they don't actually care about SEO. They don't care about any of that. They're just, when people are watching their videos, they have an opportunity to sell something.
Oh, no, I think you're totally right. I think that, and there's a reason for that. I think, yeah, I'll be frank. SEO has worked. Of course, it's provided me with a living my entire, 25 years. And it still works, but it does not work as well as it used to. And that it has to do with AI. It has to do with changing behavior, but it has more to do with what Google's done, in that the first organic ranking is now so far down the page, it just doesn't provide that much as much traffic as it used to.
Shoot, can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah. Hold on, let me stop sharing. Okay,
and just to kind of go back to that point, again, this whole website is pretty much for this purpose right here. So watching one of her videos, and you can see all the products are available to purchase right there in the YouTube video itself. So I'm guessing that is actually how most sales happen on this channel and for her website.
Okay, yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, she definitely seems to have the feed running, that Shopify feed running into YouTube, and that's actually a really good point that you can do that now. Shopify's gotten really good at integrating itself into making it so easy for the consumer to buy. If you go on a Shopify site, if you've ever bought from a Shopify site, all you have to do is click the button and all your credit card stuff is in there. They send you a one-time link. It's so easy to do. You can put the listings anywhere. They're pretty portable.
And the Shop app is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It's, you can see where all your purchases from Amazon or anyone, when they're going to come in. Shop app is phenomenal. I agree. I'm actually never thought in a million years I would use Wix, but Wix now is pretty phenomenal, even from an SEO perspective. Now I'm talking to SEOs. You're probably laughing at me.
No. Actually, it's funny because it's funny you bring that up, because I just had an episode. It was the last episode or episode before where we were talking about that exact thing, and that how 5 years ago, I said Wix was garbage. I wrote about it. I said, don't use it. They listened to what everybody said, and they actually increased their offering. And I still don't like it as well as I like running just WordPress. But for a lot of people, it works pretty well to just run Wix, because especially if you're not a very technical person, you can't do quite as much on the customization side as you used to be able to do on Wix, but you can still definitely build a site for most businesses that's going to be adequate.
I switched my entire company to Wix a few months ago, and our software is actually integrated into Wix. And so when you're using our new software, you'll actually be using Wix, which is kind of funny. But their API integration is amazing, and they also integrate with this aspect of YouTube description, so you can actually show Wix products now as well on YouTube.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's great. I like a site if I'm going to use a builder, and this is because I'm an SEO geek. I really like Duda.co. Mm-hmm. It builds extremely fast loading websites, which is something that I'm always looking for as an SEO guy. And I can build literally the Site Clinic podcast site, as well as my fractional CMO business, which is Texas CMO, are both sites built in Duda that I built in literally about 4 hours total.
It's amazing.
From writing to programming to throwing. I mean, that's the thing about Duda that I like is, and you can do the same thing in Wix. It's with a WordPress site, it's going to take me a long time to build it. Whereas with those, Duda and Wix, I can completely just go in and do whatever I need to do. Hold on just a second. Okay, well, let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here because I went ahead and put them into SEMrush. And for the show before, SEMrush is a tool that I love to use. My team uses it. Now, this is a paid tool. However, I'm not using any of the paid parts of this tool. What I'm looking at here, this is the domain overview. You can get this information without having an SEMrush account, and I highly recommend you do it. I am a fan of SEMrush. It is a little expensive, so it's not for everybody. So I realize it's expensive, but I can tell you that it's something I use on a daily basis. What you can see here, I put their site into the Jaden Animation site into SEMrush. Now, what we have here is a quality score of 16, which is very, very low, and kind of surprises me because this is such a popular YouTuber. You would think that there would be a lot of links and authority pointing towards the site, but I think honestly that site feels like it was thrown together and it's just used to sell merch, and I'm not sure how much merch she sells off of it, but I don't feel like there's a ton of effort being put into it. I think that is being reflected in this authority score.
That's hard to get that low, especially if you have a lot of traffic.
Yeah, no,
that's almost
I'm a little bit
bad.
Yeah, if you've got over 1 million YouTube followers, you should not have an authority score of 16 on your website. That's just asinine.
You know what's interesting? I've been working with YouTubers for 17 years now, and most either don't operate their channel like a business or grow into a business from a passion. And this is a representation of the last 16 years of my life, or 17 years is, people can do one or two things very good. It is actually very, very rare to find either business that's good at YouTube or YouTuber that's good at YouTube and actually have like a cohesive business that's succeeding in all levels, because it's just, a lot of people can edit videos or film or tell good stories or make good thumbnails, but it's really hard for a creator to also be great at marketing.
No, and I think that it's true because I've been toying, this podcast and some other things myself at being a creator, and I'm finding, frankly, I signed up for your course myself because I suck at video editing. I am horrible at it. It doesn't come naturally to me. I feel like I spend way too much time on it. And even with the new, AI editors, which make it dirt easy, I'm still spending way too much time going through and editing things. Can't get my camera settings right. Can't get my audio settings right. But give me a site to optimize, and I can do that all day long. And it's just where my, and I think that a lot of people and the creators, a lot of you don't get into creating to become selling stuff. I don't think most people don't. They get into creating because they're creative, and then they're good at showing what they do, or they have a talent. And
it's really cool though when I work with people that are good at sales and marketing. A lot of them, 50, 150,000 subscribers, from 50,000 subscribers to 150,000, make more money than channels that I help with millions of subscribers.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you've got, if I say I were to hit 50,000 followers, which I haven't, but I were to do that, I can monetize that probably better than a teenager, because I can sell services that cost money as opposed to a plushie doll.
Absolutely. And, a good example is I helped Sterling Sky go from a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube to over about 100,000 now.
I didn't know you were doing Joy stuff.
Yeah, I've been working with Joy over about a year and a half now.
That makes sense to me, because I have seen, I follow Joy, and she's a friend of mine, Joy Hawkins over at, what's the name of her shop again?
Sterling Sky,
right. I've known her for a number of years. I've followed her, and I'm in a number of groups with her, and I have watched her YouTube and all of their content that Sterling Sky does. it has been up a notch in the last year. Like, I mean, so much so that I know that has to be you, because I've been watching, as I'm learning this stuff, learning the type of hooks that people are using that are working on YouTube and TikTok, learning how, there's formulas to making these videos, which I never realized before.
Yeah. And we're working really hard on great thumbnails and titles and storytelling and editing. And, what's interesting about Joy and her team is her husband, Richard, knows a little bit. He knows a lot about editing, but really they didn't know anything. And it took about a year and a half to get them where they are.
And I think that as far as local SEO goes, they have probably the best. It's definitely the most polished content out there. But it's informative and it's great. I watched every video that they create. So, I definitely think that they've done a great job of getting that. And I know that they can monetize, that they're monetizing that as an agency. They've got to be. I can't imagine that that's not doing very, very well for them as far as lead flows go.
Yeah, they're doing well. It's one of their biggest sources of leads now, if not the biggest.
Well, I can agree because I can tell you just from my own experience, our leads have dried up a lot. And that's one of the reasons I started doing a little bit more content, because I thought, well, I'm not getting out there. I'm not speaking as much. I need to get out there. So I started doing these just one, few minutes a day, a couple pieces of content a day, and then this Site Clinic podcast. And I'm increasing because I'm seeing our leads I've already gotten several leads from the marketing minutes that I do every day. People have seen them and have reached out to me wanting us to do business together. I mean, enough to where it's pretty much, I've spent about $400 on equipment, and it's way more than paid for that investment. That makes sense.
Very cool. Yeah, it's very cool.
So, and I think that I can even get even more. I'm getting into, I have plans to get into even more of it. And I'll talk to you about that later, Jeremy, because I have some ideas of kind of thought leadership stuff that I'm trying to do. But anyways, I wanted to get back into here real quick, looking at, you see, I've got the screen shared as well on the traffic. Now, I will put a caveat on these traffic numbers from SEMrush. They are based upon how a site ranks, the number of keywords that a site is ranking for, and they estimate how much traffic you're going to get from, say, if you ranked number 2, say she ranks number 2 for plushie, it's going to estimate how much traffic that's going to give. I'm going to tell you, if you are an analytics person or a data person, that number is not accurate, will never be accurate. It is a benchmark, and that's about all it is. Don't look at it. It's good to kind of see trends, because that's usually pretty accurate, the ups and downs, because it has to do with keyword rankings. But I can tell you that there is no way that on April it was 29,505 things of organic traffic. That number is just, it's not real. So that's a caveat. But what I like to look at down here is, this is a little bit more accurate. The keywords, the number of keywords that they're ranking for. You can see this over time, and you can go all the way back here to January 2013. And we also have, you can see how things affect them. Say, for instance, they had a giant leap here in 2023. Something happened there, and then they had a huge drop. And it could be this right here is an algorithm update, a Google algorithm update that coincides. It looks like they may have gotten hit, and they're starting to recover, and they have been starting to recover this year, but it's taken them 6 months to a year to get back to where that is. So you can tell that something happened, and maybe they didn't do anything. It maybe they put a product out or changed something on their website, but it's always fascinating to me when I get in here and I don't know the history of it. I can see something happen,
And what's interesting is there's such a big force with, 3 billion, almost 3 billion views, that their name is the only keyword they probably need to make millions of years in merch, is my guess.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that it's definitely, it's interesting to see that they've had their ups and downs, and you can kind of get down here. One of the things this is very interesting to me is that not one of the keywords that they're showing up for is a branded keyword.
Yeah, it's very...
So, her name, if you're searching her name, she's not showing up for her own name. And that, if the strategy is, everybody knows who I am, so they're just going to come to my website and buy my stuff, and I don't have to do anything about it, at least get yourself to show up for your own name, because that is dirt easy to do. It doesn't take it doesn't take, you don't have to hire an agency to do it, but showing up for the branded keyword, a 0% branded keyword, I very rarely ever see. That means that you're not showing up for your name, your website, anything. Whereas she's got actually 983 keywords that she's ranking for non-branded. There are a lot of brands that would kill to have that many keyword rankings.
This might be a good business plan for you, Tony. Just go to all these big YouTubers and say, hey, we can increase your organic traffic and sales.
I will definitely, and because the way that this works, just if for those who don't know, is I request people to send in their sites, but when I don't get sites in that are, and this one was kind of actually a last minute replacement for another site that somebody had sent in that didn't work because it just didn't have any content. But sometimes I will just find a site that I think will be appropriate, and this is one of those that's found. But I will send a note. I don't know if she's got 10 million followers, she probably is not going to listen to me, but I will send her a note of to this podcast so that she can see, or her people can see what we're seeing. And I don't like to give guarantees, but I know she's leaving thousands and not tens of thousands of dollars on the table every month by not doing some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
So, but you can kind of see, SEMrush, I don't, and we've spent a little bit more time than I wanted to on this site, but the last thing I kind of want to look at here is, I always try to look at the backlinks. Whoa. See who is linking to her. She's got Wikipedia links, Wikidata links coming in. She's got some really good links. This is a very good example of an organic, organic link profile that is built not by going out and getting people, but because you have something that people want to look at. Your Wikipedia page, all of these, your Yahoo search results, older result. I mean, all these places that are linking to her. And you can see when these came in. It's like this link just came in 8 days ago on Yahoo search results. All of these sites that have been pointing to her. That is a true organic link profile. Whereas if she were doing something like, if she could even just putting in a little bit of link building, just influencer talk, influencer communication. Hey, I did this. You want to take a look at this and link to it? I can guarantee you she could do it herself, or she could hire somebody for $10 an hour just to do outreach, people who, and be able to build this link profile and get that authority score above the 16, which we saw, when we come back here.
Yeah, it's as a small business and someone that's been doing marketing. This is my 25th year being a digital marketer. It blows my mind a little bit when people have big audiences and don't have the fundamentals in place.
Yeah,
you're being pretty polite about tens of thousands a month. I mean, it's probably a lot more than that. But
definitely. I mean,
it's cool though that on the flip side, like being a digital marketer, you and I for the last million years, it's cool to see the shift in commerce, and passion is kind of ruling commerce in a lot of ways these days.
That's an interesting idea to explore. Passion is ruling commerce. You think? I mean, I definitely have seen a shift. Especially, I think the shift has been happening for a while, but it has really started to shift in the last couple of years to where YouTube and TikTok have become. They've always been valid for brand building and other things, but as a direct sales channel, I never had really thought about YouTube as a direct sales channel until the last few years. And it really is, and TikTok as well.
One of my customers does over 120 million a year in sales from YouTube alone.
Wow. What do they sell?
Sales courses and online training, and tickets to their conferences. It's Grant Cardone, but
okay.
They're really good at organic content, viral content, and sales. And it's kind of frightening how much they can move the needle when they want to.
Oh no, I watched. I worked with Sean Jackson, a coffee blogger, back in the day.
Yeah,
and I ran their paid search program. And when they wanted to sell a course or something, and they turned it on, it was impressive what they could do and how much traffic they could drive. It had nothing to do with SEO.
Right.
It had to do with, it had to do with pay-per-click a little bit. We ran some strategies there, but more than that, it had to do with the fact that Brian Clark, copy blogger, had built an audience. I mean, he built this audience to where all he had to do was send out an email and they would buy $100,000 worth of his product.
And I was one of the people buying it.
Yeah, me too, actually. I loved his stuff, and they sold that company, did very, very well. I think they were a little bit, they were a lot ahead of their time, because a lot of the things that they're doing, I'm seeing being done on TikTok and YouTube, even, and with a more modern twist even. And it's very much the types of things that Brian used to do on Copyblogger to build up his audience. I mean, Brian, one night at South by Southwest down in Austin, I was sitting with Brian Clark, and that's when he and I kind of came up with the idea of digital sharecropping. And I don't know if he came up with it, I came up with it. We were both sitting together talking about it. And the idea being that we don't want to build our brand on someone else's land. So I don't want to build my brand on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube. I want to use YouTube or Facebook and TikTok to drive traffic back to entities that I own, trying to make transactions happen on the entities that I own, if possible, because we get more data. And usually you make more money, because if you're getting transactions on TikTok, you say in the TikTok store, or you've got Facebook Reels, and you're, unless you are sending them to a place where they can buy, you are giving a percentage of your profit to Facebook, TikTok, etc.
Yeah, and on YouTube, and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, it's kind of a balance, because obviously none of these platforms want you to send anyone away. What I've found and learned doing brand studies, for the last decade, is one of the best ways to sell is to say physically and visually show the website, and that's it. So they're still experiencing YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. You're just telling them where to go and what to do, and they physically, pull out their phone or computer or what have you, or scan a QR code on the television, and they get there. So I'm a big believer that you should send people off platforms to sell. And I agree. Like, people think that you make money by AdSense on YouTube. And if any brand out there is making more than 20% of their total profit off, from ads, they don't have a business. They, at all.
That's true. Because I've seen those checks from people, even people that have a lot of visitors, and it's not as much as you think it is. I think, what is it? It's like $1,000. Is it like $1,000 per every 1 million view that you can earn? It
just depends on the industry you're in. For example, I managed the largest skateboard YouTube channel, and at the peak, we were doing about $130,000 a month in just AdSense, but that was 20 to 30 million views. So it depends. Like, some software, like if you're just talking about, SaaS or something, I've seen a friend of mine gets up to $86 per 1,000 views. So that's pretty high. So yeah, it just absolutely depends. But you bought my course. Thank you. I'm launching it in the next week or two. And I'm actually doing a full viral ad strategy, driving people to the website and then remarketing them. So I'm going to have, long term, I'm going to have an organic strategy, but short term, I'm going to have 100% paid ad strategy with a $48 system that then is going to, flow people up to $1,000 system. And this is what I do now. Instead of collecting email addresses, I will never collect a free email address again in my life. And the reason for that is they're not very valuable. And they're not very valuable for a lot of reasons. If I was going to collect an email address, I'd actually collect a phone number, because, about 60% click through view rates.
SMS is huge.
Yeah, SMS is huge. Emails are not, less than 20% is stretching it for open rates. But what I've learned is if I can get you interested in a $48 product, I can sell you a $1,000 product. And basically what I'm doing is if you don't have $48, then you're probably not going to be my customer. You still can go to YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all the places to see my content for free. But I really only want to spend time with people that I can make money with and help them grow. And the biggest reason is not about money. It's actually about, I call it the pain tax. If you get...
We call it the PETA tax.
Oh, cool. If you get something for free, even if it's like worth $1,000, you probably don't care about it. But even if you just pay $48 for something, you're probably going to use it at least twice. And I would rather paying someone to take out a credit card than give them something for free.
Well, and once you get them on board, I mean, obviously, if you're using whatever, Link or Shopify or Google Pay or whatever, once they purchase something, you have that email address too.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense to me. I'm not ready to give up on email quite yet. I'm still getting 10 to 15% open rates on some emails, and doing, some outreach via email has been working. But I agree with you. It is definitely moving towards somewhere where we need to be gathering more, the place where we can get the information without having them have to fill out every form, etc. And that, the best way to do that is have those pay by Amazon, pay by Google, Link, Stripe, whatever your flavor is of e-commerce, because all of those will give you the data, which then you can utilize as just another channel to reach out to the people who have bought your course. To your point, as if somebody's willing to spend $40 with you, they're probably willing to spend $1,000. And I would think that one of the ways you could sell them or tell them about the other opportunities would be through email. Although I'm sure that you're doing that through remarketing as well as other videos, etc.
Email is definitely still a big sales channel for most businesses, but you're basically taking 80% of people off the whole flavor. So what I would do is, or what I do rather, is SMS, email, remarketing, ads 100% of the time.
Okay. Well, this is the last thing I want to look at on the site, just real quick, is the page speed insights. And this is just Google's page speed insights tool. You can just go to Google, type in page speed insights. I put in Jaden Animation in here, and we're looking at the mobile. And we're looking at, in my world, mobile is where you need to be spending 90% of your time, because if you get the mobile right, the desktop is usually good. And she's got this site performing very, very well. It is fast. It's a very fast site. Part of the reason is because there's not a whole lot on it, but whoever built this thing built it, and the code is pretty good, because it's got less than 0.8 seconds when it first starts showing up, and then it's completely loaded in 0.8 seconds, which is super fast.
Wow.
You'll see probably later on if we look at another site, you don't see sites this fast. So I'm not going to spend much time on here.
I wonder if they're using a vector type of image or something.
I didn't look at what the site was built in.
Because it's vector animation, so I'm guessing it's not just like a JPEG.
Yeah, I'm looking real quick just to see what they've got. They're using a CDN. They're hosting it on Amazon. It is not WordPress. It's straight up, yeah. So it's definitely it's definitely built to be fast. It is very fast.
That almost makes me sadder, because they have such little SEO that it could absolutely dominate.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen this happen before, Jeremy. I'm sure you have too. I'm sure that Jaden or whoever was running is really not that interested in SEO. And so they hired somebody who built a solid website for them.
Right.
And so it's SEO friendly. It's just they haven't done anything with it. And that's what I would definitely be looking at. I mean, there's some things to fix, but frankly, all these scores, the 80s, the 82s, 79, she's not going to see a huge benefit from fixing those things. Now, the Core Web Vitals assessment has failed. What does that mean? That means that she's got some coding issues that are making it so that what Google's looking at, which we call the Core Web Vitals, think of it as like, the blood pressure of the website, and the things like how fast the site loads, how the code is rendering, etc. She's got something wrong, and I'd have to go in and look at what that is, and I don't really want to spend the time to do that. But just fixing that alone is going to give her some boost. But the reality is, fixing the rest of this stuff isn't going to give her the juice. Is probably not going to be worth the squeeze, if you will. So let's go ahead, and now that we've looked at that site, I'm going to share our second site, which is actually not that one. It's this one. And this is somebody called Make Money Matt. And I think what you're talking about, this may be one of your competitors to an extent, Jeremy, someone trying to help people to create videos and make money on YouTube, etc. So kind of interesting. It's always interesting when you can look at when I'm looking at another SEO agency's site, what they've done. I a lot of times will get ideas and at the same time be inspired and be looking at it saying, no, I would never do that. So I'm interested to hear what you think about this particular site.
I have a lot of opinions.
I can only imagine.
For me, I have tried to be on the ethical side of digital marketing for the last 25 years. So I want to always pour real value to someone, and I never want, and I will say that this site's fine, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't see any value. I just see sell, 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 literally 3 buttons for reserve my seat. So I don't really, this landing page, I probably wouldn't personally click on, but I would like to see, if you're a video person, I want to see a video, of the value. For example, Think Media, Sean Cannell does a really good job with these types of landing pages where he's basically like, this is what you're going to learn. This is why you should come to this free seminar. Register now. The 3 registers, in my opinion, are a red flag, not a good thing. It's a bad thing.
It's funny because I understand when I'm building a website, I preach this a lot, is I want to have a call to action on every page. And I'm usually a really big call to action type of guy. But I agree with you completely. 3 buttons that say the exact same thing, that do the exact same thing within a very short distance of each other reeks of desperation and over-optimization. And it's the type of thing that I used to do maybe earlier in my career when we would have a landing page that just wasn't performing. So you think, well, what's wrong with it? Let's run through our list. And one of the things was maybe the calls to action aren't strong enough. So you do something like this.
I'll also say his picture you don't see the whites of someone's eyes. Nonverbal communication is greater than verbal communication. So the fact that we can't see his emotions makes him more robotic, and we can't relate to him. Also, I have the play buttons like he has right behind me. I would have actually shown them crazy huge and my eyes and my expressions big. If you don't see the whites of someone's eyes, you really don't actually trust that person. So from a psychological perspective, the image used to me screams, I don't trust you.
Well, and I think from him, honestly, I agree with you. It looks like he looks like he's my freaking senior in high school son.
Right. Which could be a good thing for sales, right, on YouTube, because the young, digital natives, as I like to call them, actually are probably smarter than most of us in a lot of ways. So he could use that as a good sales tactic. Like, hey, I'm young and I know what I'm doing. But in this case, it just doesn't. I doubt this page converts well.
I would agree with you. And you come down here and he's got this, this whole disclaimer. And first of all, this page is old. Looks like he built this page in 2020 because he hasn't changed the copyright from it. By the way, when you do that, just a side note, always put copyright from instead of just the year. that protects you a little bit more. There's not that there's a ton of protection here anyways, but frankly, just having I am surprised at, I would say about half the sites I visit when they put a copyright in there, forget to change it at the beginning of each year. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
And you can also kind of, you can add code to do it for you, but
yeah, exactly.
But a video person teaching me how to do video that doesn't have a video on the landing page is the biggest red flag out of everything else I've said.
Oh no, I completely agree. And it looks like he's, ways to go about YouTube that doesn't require you to record videos. I'm thinking he's doing faceless videos or something like that, which I've seen some people be kind of successful at, but it's really, really hard to make a lot of money with faceless YouTube.
It depends. I've definitely been involved with projects worth millions of dollars with faceless videos, many of them, but it's not scammy. You actually have to give people value. And one thing I don't like about faceless videos is any niche on YouTube people can click a button and make 1 million videos. So if you aren't showing your face, if you don't have emotion, then how are you going to beat the robots next year or this year? So faceless YouTube channels have literally been around forever. And it's nothing new, but I think, unfortunately, a lot of the kind of slimier marketers become a YouTuber and you don't have to make videos. You don't have to show your face. It's just appeasing people to get them to buy a product.
I totally, now I did just click through and you see, I clicked through on one of the reserve my seat buttons and it brings up this, post, or it's a pop-up, but third-party app, it looks like, where you can select the time and give your name. I don't see anything wrong with this. I actually kind of like the little call-outs with your host.
No, this is great. And this person, by the way, has some of the scammiest YouTube video ads on the planet. And good for him. Whatever. I'm not judging him.
It's working. It's fine, but I agree with you. This just seems very meant to part you with your wallet.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, I would be interested to see if anybody's really making money off of what he does. I'm not saying they're not, because I don't know, but this is, in my experience, has been when you come to a site like this, if it has no video, kind of half-ass done, usually the offering reflects the detail of what you're seeing on this website.
Absolutely.
So, but I did, go ahead, and I've got it up here. I'm going to share just real quick. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on this site because there's just not a whole lot to it. But I did put them into SEMrush here, and you can see they've actually got some problems because SEMrush is not crawling through the site, and I think it has to do with the fact that if you look at how he's got it set up, it's makemoneymat.com/opt-in. Now, if I take out the opt-in, when I do that, it still doesn't work because there actually is giving me a little bit more, but it's a redirect because that makemoneymat.com redirects to makemoneymat.com/opt-in. And when you do that, you destroy your authority. When you redirect your homepage is your hammer. That is the place where you're going to get the most links. That is the place that naturally and organically is going to grow. And when you completely take it out of the picture by redirecting off of it, you are leaving money again on the table. Even as badly as this site is set up to convert, I think that he's still leaving money on the table by having that redirect. There's absolutely no reason to do that. I would not do it.
And this site also looks old. It looks like he was playing around with this in 2019 to 2020.
Yeah, 2020. I'm not sure if it's been touched since 2020. So we may be looking at, that's another point though. I mean, you've got old entities out there. A lot of times I will recommend if a company comes to me and they've got several different brands or entities, website entities, my first suggestion is almost always pull everything together. Unless you have a specific business case for why you should have more than one website, you should not have more than one website. for the simple reason of resources. And I don't care if you're a Fortune 10 company or a small mom and pop business. If you have to build links to 2 different websites, it's harder than building links to one. And it takes a lot more effort. And frankly, I've found very, very few use cases where it's worth it to have more than one entity.
Yeah, it's so funny. I literally have this conversation every single week about YouTube channels. Everyone wants a million channels. And what I say is it's like having 2 wives or 2 husbands or 2 cars or 2 houses. It's not worth it. And if you're doing something that requires 6 different YouTube channels or websites, maybe you should focus a little bit.
Well, I think that's a good point, because actually that brings up something that I've been planning to do. A lot of people on TikTok will use a different channel, right, to get their so like if I were, say I wanted to talk about politics, but I would have a political channel, then I might have a digital marketing channel, I might have a religion profile, instead of having the one profile, because YouTube does like kind of pick up on those themes and those niches. And if you go too generalized, TikTok doesn't know who you're supposed to
You need one for your OnlyFans too, Tony.
Yeah. My OnlyFans is a very interesting place that I would not want. That's like the nightmare and hell that everyone should be scared of, would be my OnlyFans.
I remember you said something to me in like 2005. Maybe it was Giovanni. It may have not been you, but one of you recommended that I actually study SEO from adult entertainment sites.
Oh no, that would have been me, because I've advocated that for years.
Because they're the best in the world. You know, at the time at least. I don't know about now, but they were a decade ahead of everyone else.
I will tell you, I am not a huge porn guy, just to put that out there, but I have learned more from those sites, techniques that they did, especially back in that day, like probably from about 2003 all the way up until about 2015. Those guys were and then the updates, the Penguin and Panda updates, really kind of decimated a lot of the stuff that they were doing, but they were ahead of everyone. I mean, and you talk about competitive niches, and I would meet some of those guys at conferences, and I was always fascinated by their work, because literally the keywords that they're looking at every day would make me blush every day. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I met the director of YouTube for the biggest company. Very
like
interesting
Pornhub
conversation.
Guy, something like that.
Pornhub, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting conversations, but I actually learned a lot from him because, they're just really good at SEO and they're good at YouTube SEO.
They're really good at it, because they have to be, because it's competitive, and right. the stakes are so high. They make so much money that they can put the money into it and do it right. And I always, it's fun to me when I watch a team that, like, I'll say a team that's actually done a pretty good job, and I'm not a huge fan of the product, but the HubSpot SEO team has been doing a really good job, and they got dinged in the last.
Yeah, to me, the reason HubSpot became this big billion-dollar company is because they used to make really cool content marketing and courses and free certifications, and that was at the heart and soul of the entire company. They were
very much disciples of Brian Clark and Copyblogger.
Yeah, they were phenomenal at that, and they really did, as probably even took what Brian Clark was doing to the next level, and in my opinion, and they were very good at it. And the companies that bought HubSpot and all that kind of destroyed all of that heart and soul of why marketers cared about them.
Well, it's kind of become, though, they did a really good job, and I hate it because, frankly, we have to deal with it so much because so many people bought it. And it's not a bad CRM. It's not a good content management system. It is not like their CMS, their version of WordPress, I would not use. I would use their funnels. I would use their tracking. I think that they're okay. I think it's way overpriced for what it is. I can get everything done that HubSpot does. And it may take 2 or 3 tools, but I can get it done for about half the price of what HubSpot charges. It's not as easy because you have to go to 2 or 3 different tools. But now with things like N8N and Make.com, it's really easy to take those 2 or 3 tools and automate everything about it and not have to pay HubSpot, $5,000 a month for their solution, which I could get done for $500 a month with 2 or 3 different tools working together, creating AI agents.
I use Make every day.
Yeah. I like Make okay, but I like N8N better. N8N is my choice for automations and AI agents. But I used Make. I don't have a subscription to Make right now because I had to choose between the two. Because if you have subscription to everything, you're paying millions and millions of dollars out. But real quick, just going through this domain overview, there's not a whole lot here because of that redirect. So there's 2. But I can come over here. Just let me share this screen real quick. I need to, because we got one more site I want to get into, and we spent a lot of time on this. But I think it's been great information. So, and I'm running this on the PageSpeed Insights, taking a minute. I'm not sure why it's taking. No, I bet I do know why. It's because that stupid redirect always throws off these tools. And take it out, and yeah, it may not come up. Just because, and that is just a point to be made to anyone out there. If you redirect your homepage, you are messing something up. I cannot think of a good reason to redirect your homepage. I cannot think of one. I used to do it back in the day when I very, very first started digital marketing 25 years ago, back 1999. I worked on American Airlines website, right? And American Airlines website was built it was called Broadvision. It was a platform. It was the very first personalization platform where we could, if you were on there and you had bought a ticket to Hawaii, it would show you your ticket, which in 1999, that was huge technology, right? But the problem is that technology, because it was completely dynamic, meaning that it was pulling all of the information out of a database, could not be read by search engines. So at that point, I did have to create a static page for the homepage that redirected to the Broadvision code. So I basically created a white page, and this is 1999. I created a white text on a white page that JavaScript redirected in 0 seconds. So all you saw was a white flash, but it was stuffed with every airline trip keyword you can think of. And in 1999, that worked. Now, that would not work today at all, but that's the same type of thing. That's the only reason I could ever think of wanting to do a redirect. Now, this finally did come up while I was vamping there. This is more like what I usually see. Performance of 43. Not a very good performance on this site as far as how it's loading. Now, if you see this 100 SEO, please do not think your SEO is done. All that means is that you have a few things done that Google wants to see done. Does not mean that your SEO is going to work. Especially, I'm going to tell you on this site, this number right here, this largest contentful paint, what that means is that is how long it takes for the website to load on a mobile device fully. Now, I want you to sit there. Actually, don't do it because you will get bored, but look at your phone and count to 26 seconds. Are you going to sit there and wait for this page that basically has nothing on it except for 3 calls to action and a picture of a high school senior? You're going to wait 26 seconds for that page to load so that you can go and buy his course. I'm going to say, Jeremy, you said that you didn't think this page was working. I concur with you 1,000%.
And don't look at my page yet.
I would never do that. And I will say, I hate to make fun of people, but I call it how I see it. But I also have been on the side of things to where I know I have made the right recommendation. I want to do it, and the client will not listen for whatever reason, doesn't have the resources to get it done, etc., and it makes me look bad. So I will never blame an SEO for a site not ranking, because I know the realities are it takes not only an SEO, but the people who are in charge of the website, and they're frequently not the same people, to be on the same page and cooperate. And typically the SEO gets told, "Oh, we'll get to that later. We'll put it in the queue," and that's the type of thing where at American Airlines back in the day, it took me 2 years to get meta tags put on the site.
Wow.
And that's just, and everybody's like, "Oh, you do SEO for American Airlines?" This used to happen at conference. "You do SEO for American Airlines?" "Yeah." "Why don't you have meta tags on the site? Doesn't look like you're doing it." And it's so frustrating because I spent so much time just arguing about these things that we never got to do it. Whereas on my other clients, I was doing advanced level SEO and killing it. But for that particular client, until we got a new manager that understood things, it was, they were paying us a ton of money to really do nothing.
I've got this new philosophy being a small business owner. I've been at the highest levels of SEO. I've been at the highest levels of paid ads, and I was an art director for like 10 years. I've been in digital marketing a long time, and the truth is, I can't even do everything. What I do is create a minimal viable product. SEO and ads and everything sucks. And then the second I start making a little money, I fix it all. So this is my 5th or 6th business now, and this is what I do. Everything's going to suck until I start making money and have a minimal viable product. And then I put the screws in and tighten everything up.
I think that's a really good philosophy, because I can tell you, I've seen for other people, on a lot of other people who are doing kind of similar things to you, if you throw everything into a strategy and it doesn't work, then you spend a lot of time and money as opposed to waiting and kind of being somewhat, I call it reactive. And I tell this, and I say this on sales calls all the time. SEO is a reactive discipline. If you go in, we know kind of what the engine wants, and we're going to put out to our best ability something that makes Google look at it and index it properly, etc. From what we've seen in the past. But frankly, until I see how a site is ranking after we make changes, I don't know what to do next. And I think that's kind of what you're saying with your products, is you don't know what to do next until you start seeing what's working, and then you can double down on that. It's kind of, Dennis Yu has he calls it the $1 a day strategy on Facebook.
Yep.
And a lot of people do this in content, where you get a piece of content, you throw out tons of piece of content. Once one starts hitting, you start throwing money at that piece of content, promoting it.
Absolutely.
But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our last site, because we have spent too much time, and I want to try and keep this at least close to an hour as we can. But I'm going to share this tab here. And you can see this tab is called Visual Country, and they create short videos for the world's leading brands. And I think this is kind of an interesting, this is what I was talking about earlier with some of these UGC type videos, where there's a formula to it. You've got, a guy that comes in and makes a video for the brand, and the brand may pay him $100, $200 for that video. It's just reviewing a product or showing a product. It goes out on YouTube or TikTok, and that guy may get a commission, or he may just get paid for creating the ad, creating the video first. So,
yeah,
Jeremy, what are you thinking of this site here? I
guess the question I have is, who's the target audience, right? Because what my thought is, okay, maybe it looks cool, but like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Yes, I see cool ads. I don't know if this is a brand selling, purses, or a company making videos. So at minimum, what kind of my pet peeve here is, I would like to see a under 6-word statement.
Yeah, who you are, what are you doing? And these ads are cool. It looks to me basically these guys are a video production company. Right?
Exactly. But not having that brand statement of the what and why, like from the book Primal Branding, people are going to bounce probably on this site a lot, because you just don't know what they're doing. But if you said creative ads that grow your business, and that was like the big text, and there was like an overlay, and then all the cool stuff happening, I think it would all tie together. It would make sense.
No, I agree. I'm looking at, they've got some really cool videos. I mean, it catch your eye for sure. But as far as who they are and what they do, that's lacking. Creating short videos for the world's leading brands. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me, really. It kind of tells me who you are, but
it kind of is the what and why, but it's not a good what and why.
No, I think you're right. I think that they could do a lot more of explaining who they are, what is their value. And even, if I'm coming, one of the things I like to do, if I'm building a website and I want to picture someone from my target audience hitting that website without having any clue about any brand reputation that I have at all. And can you convert the person who's never heard of you into a customer? And if you can do that, then the website's successful. I'm not sure. There's a lot of things on this one. First of all, he's got the videos, got the weak branding, all these videos down here, which is, a portfolio essentially. But I have no idea how to talk to these people, except down here, let's work together. It keeps showing up, and then more videos keep loading. So I can't even get to
right.
Oh, there we go. And I get in, and I finally chase down this form, and it's a very simple form, which I like. Excuse me, but this is back to, I talked earlier about how I like to have a form on every page. They definitely could have a form on the front page. They've got the room for it. This whole your favorite content studio, all of this up here is actually, in my opinion, hurting them, because we've seen that big giant sliders and animation actually hurt conversions. And it's not because the videos are bad, because I think they're actually very, very good. But I think that I see them and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure the SEO is not going to be good on a site like this.
Well, let's take a real quick look. I'm going to head over to SEMrush. I'll throw them in here and I'll share the tab. And of course, I hit the wrong thing there. You can see me actually putting it in now. Okay. Okay, we have an authority score of 12. That is really, really low and very little traffic. But for an authority score of 12, they've got 673 backlinks from 259 domains. That is a little bit of a disconnect to me.
Yeah, that seems like a red flag.
I would think they've got some nasty links coming in.
Yeah.
Because, and here's their competition, tableofcontent.com, bagwell.com. Well, it's not John Bagwell's company. It can't be right.
If they were real backlinks, I just don't see their authority being that low.
Well, yeah, I mean, and what they're showing up for as far as their keywords go. Now, this is something we haven't talked about with the other two sites. It's something I usually talk about really heavily. The keywords that they are showing up for, the intent of them. And this is one of my favorite features. They have 8.2% of the keywords that they show up for actually are someone that is probably going to make a transaction. That means your keyword mix is off. You are not ranking for the right things. And
they need to be ranking for video, short form video production company, New York City, something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at this, we talked about this in the last site, branded versus non, they got the same problem, not showing up for their own name. So you say you're I've been in the agency world for 25 years. I know the agency world better than I know anything else. And I know that this content group, they're pretty much acting like an agency. When someone sees your video and they ask your client, hey, who made that video for you? I really like that. And then you give them their name, and then they go and look for you, and they can't find the company. They can't find under their own name. That is a fail. And that's what's happening here. And you can also see, just their organic distribution. They have one keyword showing up in the top 3 positions. One keyword. And most of their keywords that they're showing up for are sitting down in the 4th or 5th page, down in the 50 and below. And that is just not a good, their website is, again, leaving a lot of money on the table, which is something we see a lot lately. Last thing I'll do here, because we are out of time, but that's okay. It's really not, it's more me being not wanting to make the thing go too much over an hour. Especially because TikTok doesn't like anything uploaded that's more than an hour. But anyways, I'm running this again here on PageSpeed Insights. Jeremy, as far as video production goes, and because this brings up a good point, that I'd love to hear from you. What are the keys right now that you're seeing as far as video production goes? What's really working and what's not as we wait for this to learn?
So everything has changed in the last few months. YouTube put out a report that basically is saying and showing that the biggest watch time in the United States is now not mobile phones, it's televisions. So with this said, you're now in a lean back and watch experience, not a kind of lean forward and scroll experience. So with that said,
do you think that's YouTube versus TikTok, or do you think that is more of a general consumer?
It's just a general how people consume YouTube in the United States. They watch longer, and the most watch comes from televisions now. And it is an unbelievably big deal, because the conversation you and I are having right now about video production would have been different a month ago, because I would have had a different answer, because the, short form versus lean back experiences. So, for example, and I'm not sure if you knew this, but I was part of Beast Games, Mr. Beast's show.
Okay.
I was on that television show, and
I did not know that. So that's interesting.
He had 2,000 contestants, and the winner got $10 million. Yeah,
I watched it. I watched some of it. Yeah, I didn't see you on there.
Yeah, I was on the first episode on the YouTube video. But anyways, the point is, the biggest, most expensive television show in the history of the world, $100 million, was from a YouTuber, and Amazon Prime gave him that $100 million. So everything's like flip-flopping right now. I would say that a month ago, I would have said the only thing that matters is storytelling, audio, and lights. Like, you have to be able to see the whites of someone's eyes, and you can't have shadows, because you don't
Right.
want to be, you want to look trustworthy.
So I'm in the middle of building out the studio in my house because of these exact issues.
So, I mean, that, and honestly, look at any viral video out there, 99.9% of them are crap. They're not good quality, but they're good storytelling. They're funny. They're, informational or educational. But now I could see a Netflix style binge-worthy series more important long-term to brands than how to fix a leaky toilet if you're a plumber. I think it's all important, but I would say that these TV shows, and my recommendation to anyone is to have a show or podcast 1 to 2 hours long every week. But every week, get more and more, get better, and keep people's retention.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this podcast, actually.
Absolutely.
I'll take this. This is only my 5th episode. I'll take what we do today, and I'll run it through a tool like Opus Clips and create a ton of shorts just to promote it,
Absolutely.
And get it out there. And I think that's, it's kind of fascinating to me that we're seeing this shift, because it's kind of a little bit different than what I can see where that's coming from. But I also see what my consumption has been on YouTube and TikTok, and it's very different from I'm very much into the watching things to learn, as opposed to escape. If to me still, if it's escape, I'm most likely going to Netflix or something, unless I'm just maybe going to watch some stand-up comedy for a second on TikTok.
But I think it's blurring, right? Because you can just call it edutainment, and the concept. We use that word together when you made a video for my company 20 years ago or whatever, Extrain.
VidPal back there.
Yeah, VidPal. So my point is, Colin and Samir is a YouTube channel where they basically just teach YouTube. And I helped create vidIQ, which has over that did the YouTube strategy for vidIQ, which has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. Colin and Samir last year, I think, broke 1 million subscribers, and now they're about to hit 2 million. They're basically doing 1 to 3 hour long videos, and their average view duration is 45 minutes.
Wow.
vidIQ is not even a tenth of how well they're doing with views and watch time. The reason is they're both educational, they're both informational. vidIQ is more like how to grow your small business YouTube channel, and Colin and Samir are more, let's spend 3 hours with this creator with 100 million subscribers and let's just have fun and talk. And I would have to say, the Joe Rogan podcast kind of
format,
the whole, I think the whole concept of it has changed the whole world. And I think podcasts are not really podcasts. YouTube is now the biggest provider of podcasts in the world, even bigger than, all the other services combined, from, Apple to everything.
I think Spotify would probably be the closest.
Spotify is the closest, but YouTube beats them.
Yeah.
So with that said, every niche has a winner when it comes to a podcast, and you want to be that winner, because if you are, then you're going to be able to take people from like a 6-minute watch time to like a 30-minute watch time. And that is the number one trigger for YouTube. Click, watch, like. Clicks are titles and thumbnails. Watches, storytelling, editing, and filming. And likes are likes, comments, and shares. That's the entire algorithm. And you want to have your videos watched and clicked and liked more than anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning this stuff myself. I finally had my first video go somewhat viral. I had a 10,000 view video.
Awesome.
And for me, that's that's not great, amazing, but it's a start. And the way that and I looked back, I'm like, why did this video go crazy? And these other ones are getting 300, 400 views. And I think it really had to do with the content, because I did a video on tools you can use to spy on your competition, and that's the one that goes crazy, right?
Yep. And now that you've had a viral hit, go make 10 versions of that video.
That's actually kind of what I'm doing. Yeah, and I agree with that's what I need to be making more of, those types of videos with that, showing those types of tools and showing people, because that's what people are interested. I've learned, over the years. I hate it because I'd rather talk about the theory behind what we do and everything, but what everybody wants are tools and direct how-tos.
I would argue that everyone now wants to I have a lot of ideas for your show, but I think people want to see behind the scenes of a very intelligent SEO and your friends. I think that's going to be the way you go more viral, and
I think it's just like what we're doing right now. I want to utilize the sites as we go through them as site clinic, like we used to do at DFW SEM, just because I enjoy it. And I think it actually is very valuable for those that are watching, but also I want my guests to be on here where we can talk, get off on a rabbit trail, and I can learn from you about video production. I can learn from you about what's working now. And that's what I love about the concept of this particular podcast, and why I've really been pushing as hard as I can to get it done, even though frankly, I don't have the time to do it like I want to, but I'm making the time because I think it's important. I
think it's two different shows. And if you look at vidIQ's YouTube channel, we do like a weekly site clinic that has a lot of views, YouTube channel site clinic. And they also have Tube Talk, which is a podcast I sold to them. And they're two different things, but the tangent, I would make it more tangent, like the whole thing tangent. And then the live stream is going to be, I have this concept I call watch time bombs, where you're going to get so much engagement, so many comments, and
live streaming is and live streaming, that is my next step. That is awesome. Where I'm going. I've been investigating, and I want to talk to you about, because I do believe I would love, and I know we're getting off the topic here, and I want to, because I want to still want to look at these this site page speed, but my dream back before the internet, before anything, I used to want to be a talk show host, like a Rush Limbaugh type guy, not maybe politics, but just that type of deal with call-in. And I really think that I could be good at that. And that's, if I could figure out a way to get interaction, talk about whatever we're talking about that day, whether it be digital marketing, SEO, whatever, and people are calling in and talking and maybe asking questions, that is an ideal format for me. But getting there is a little bit hard because you've got to be able to figure out, okay, when do you go live? How are people going to call in? If they are you going to, and my worst nightmare is I'll go live and literally have no one calling in. I think that's what's going to happen when I first try it out. So
yeah, instead of call-ins, I would just have video messages sent to you.
I think that would work too. But anyways, let's go back real quick because we're almost done here. This site, back to the visual country, the content marketing folks who we're talking about, their site is not bad. It's not great as far as it goes. It's got a 60 in performance, which is the number I look at. You can kind of see these numbers, how they're scoring that with the first contentful paint and all of these, first contentful paint, large contentful paint, etc. You can see that it is 7.7 seconds on mobile to actually show up the full site, which is still too long. If you want to, just go and, it's not 26 seconds like the last one was, but go and look and count on your phone 7 seconds. And if you're waiting for something to load, especially, and it's because the site is so video heavy, which I'm fine with, but you can still make this a lot. Look at all of these things that could be done to fix this site. And that's with this, I will tell you now, I haven't kind of given my disclaimer on page speed insights and technical SEO. If you are watching this and you are not a technical person, don't freak out, but this, particularly page speed and your code and how your site is rendered, I would hire someone like me, or there are thousands of people that can go in and actually fix your code. And that alone will get you really good foundation for SEO. And then the off-page SEO and the content and the links and stuff, that's something you should be able to do for your own self or with the help of an agency if you don't have the time. But most people, unless you know technical SEO, you don't really have that much business trying to increase the page speed of your site, because kind of like me, I always say, I can probably figure out how to fix my sync by watching a few YouTube videos, but there's also a good chance I'm going to flood my house if I do that. It's better off for me to call a plumber because I'm not a plumber. But anyways, I think that's kind of it for this site. It's, it does pretty well. But Jeremy, I want to thank you for coming in. I'm going to stop sharing here and we can go. I want to thank you for being on the show today, and especially early on. Hopefully down the road, my technical stuff will be even better, and the format will be even more juiced, I guess, if you will. But thank you so much for being a friend to me over the years and for being on this show. And do you have anything you want to say to the audience before we end?
Yeah, I mean, just like you're doing, start creating. What your journey looks like 5 or 10 years from now is going to be dictated today. And, as much as I hate to say this, just clicking record is more important than anything else right now. You can figure out the rest of the stuff along the way, but if you don't show up, you're never going to, to have an organic audience. And if you don't have an organic audience, then you have to deal with people and sales, and that sucks.
I totally agree. And I think my dream job right now is a job where I don't have to manage clients or people. I've never had a job like that. But
yeah,
maybe
me either, to be honest with you. I've only got 2 agency style clients left. I've let them all go. I let 2 go today. And just ramping up for teaching people and giving them my AI tools and, all the things I'm about to start doing. But yeah, life's short. The agency model is great until you have to deal with your clients.
Yeah. And agency model is all I know, but I'm really trying to figure out a way to at least modify it so that as I get older, I don't have to deal with some of the things I don't like to deal with, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you again. This has been Jeremy Vest. I'm Tony Wright. This has been the Site Clinic Podcast. I hope you enjoyed what we learned today. And until next time, let's just show us your site. If you know somebody who has a site, go to siteclinicpodcast.com, submit the site. We will review it. Thanks and have a great day.